You want to listen to a podcast?
By who?
Georgia GOP Congressman Doug Collins.
How is it?
The greatest thing I have ever heard in my whole life.
I could not believe my ears.
In this house, wherever the rules are disregarded, chaos and mob rule. It has been said today, where is bravery? I'll tell you where bravery is found and courage is found. It's found in this minority who has lived through the last year of nothing but rules being broken, people being put down, questions not being answered. And this majority say, be damned with anything else. We're going to impeach and do whatever we want to do. Why? Because we won an election. I guarantee you, one day you'll be back in the minority and it ain't gonna be that fun. Hey everybody, welcome back to Friday's Finest. James and I'll be with you both together here in just a minute after the break. Chip is not with us today. We'll, we thought we were going to have some, interesting fun this week, but Chip decides he has to go out and work for a living or whatever. But anyway, Chip will be back with us next week. Glad to have you there. A lot going on. Congress is still out, so the world is, relatively safe, except for the fact that in 2 weeks they hit the first spending bill and face the possibility of shutting down part of the government. Good luck. We'll see how that goes. We'll talk more about that in the future. No need to worry your little heads about that right now. It'll come soon enough. But there's no top line numbers. The Congress is not even in session. And, they can't seem to come to an agreement on anything. Also, House 60, 70 plus members went to the border from the House, including the Speaker of the House, to discuss what everybody knows, and that is that the borders are open. Highlighting this more on the Biden administration. Interestingly enough, the Senate negotiations on the immigration bill, which they don't want to touch, H.R. 2, which is a good bill that would actually do something at the border. The Senate is negotiating amongst themselves on a border bill that has no chance of passing the House, and now facing a possible president who wants to see more done because he is now being pressured by Republicans to acknowledge that his border is a disaster, and it's actually bringing him down in the presidential election year, which, oh, yes, we've talked about. This is an election year. So guess what? Joe Biden is bowing to political pressure, and those in the Senate are negotiating for what probably will not be that much of a bill that will pass because, frankly, they've went so far on this that the Republicans have it as a political issue. It was not something they had to manufacture. It's just a real fact that the border is open. Fentanyl is coming through. Human trafficking is still occurring. The cartels own the border, and the Biden administration owns the whole thing. And right now they're trying to find a way out. Republicans are not going to be real apt to try and find that unless they actually can pass something that will actually work. Democrats want to put Band-Aids on it to hopefully just to get enough voters not to think about it so they don't have to explain it in this year's election. But I don't think that's going to happen. So we'll see how that goes on as we go forward in this year. But right now, lots going on in the world, and it's Friday's Finest. We only look to the brighter side and the funnier side. Just after the break, James and I will be back with Friday's Finest. Hey, folks, when you look out and you see the country and just the disarray it is, you see the Biden administration, you see the wholesale prices have just went through the roof again. Inflation is tearing us up. If you have your finances all impinged in just a few areas, if you're just in stocks and bonds and you're not diversified, I got some news for you. You need a navigator. You need somebody to help you get to where you need to go with those finances. And I can't think of anybody better to do that than my friends at Legacy Precious Metals. You need precious metals in that portfolio. You need gold and silver. And Legacy Precious Metals, the folks there, they're the navigators. They know how to deal with tough times. They know and how to look ahead and take your personal situation and make it something that can be workable for you in the long term, because that's at the end of the day, that's the one you're most concerned about. You need to make sure that your personal finances and your retirement are secure. You need folks like Legacy Precious Metals helping you in that. They will take the time to learn you. They'll learn your finances. They'll learn where your investment goals are, and they'll help you get there. And metals and gold right now in this kind of crazy inflation, in this kind of crazy economy with the Biden's economy is just, you need that help. And Legacy Precious Metals is the one to do that. So give Legacy Precious Metals a call, 866-528-1903, 866-528-1903, or you can always visit them online at legacypminvestments.com, and you can download their free investor's guide. Legacy Precious Metals, they're the ones you need. They're the navigators to help you through these turbulent times. Hey everybody, it's MyPillow's 20th year anniversary, and over 80 million MyPillows have been sold. Mike Lindell and MyPillow wants to thank each of you and every one of you for giving you the lowest price in history on their MyPillows. You will receive a queen-size MyPillow for $19.98. Regular price is $69.98, and just $10 more for a king size. You will receive deep discounts on all MyPillow products such as bed sheets, mattress toppers, pet beds, mattresses, my slippers, and so much more. This is a time to try out something other than the amazing products that you've had your eye on. Go to mypillow.com, click on the radio podcast square, and use the promo Collins, Collins, to receive this amazing offer on the queen size MyPillow for $19.98 or call 800-986-3994. This offer comes with a 10-year warranty and 60-day money-back guarantee. It's time to start getting the quality sleep you deserve. You know how I know that? Because I sleep on a MyPillow every night. Go to mypillow.com and use promo code Collins, Collins, or call 800-986-3994 today. All right, we're back. Friday's Finest. James, well, something big has changed. You have, after spending a good bit of time in the Republic of New Jersey and home with the family, cutlets in hand and in mouth and everything else, how's it like being back in the great state of Texas?
Oh, it's not negative 5 degrees. And I love New Jersey till I die. But I remembered why I don't miss the cold pretty quickly. Like that moment when you're like, all right, let's go out, and you're about to get in the car and the car's not started and it takes you 45 minutes for the frost to go away. And you're like, oh yeah, I never have to worry about this if I live anywhere else.
Yeah, it is time. We've been actually cold here in Georgia, in the mountains up here, little foothills. We were in the low 20s early this week. So we stayed in, we've been hitting about freezing, for about the last week or so. When we get up in the 40s, so it's been typical for us. This is pretty much normal temperature. So
right, yeah, it's like 6. It's almost 60 here right now.
Yeah, but it makes it a lot easier when I do my run or do my stuff, and then if I want to take a cold plunge, in the pool, I can just go in and I don't have to add ice or anything else.
Yeah, it's already cold. Exactly.
Already cold.
Do you keep the pool open year round?
We do. So
you don't have to worry about anything cracking or anything. Or is I'm just curious because I used to work at a pool
place. We keep it running.
Got it. Okay.
So it runs, and and again, if it's slower, it keeps it circulating, through the evenings and stuff like that. And we can heat it if need be.
That's good. I'll be on. Just talking to my folks and a couple of my friends, and starting in June. I'm going to take a road trip through America. I'll still do the show, still be working, but I'm going to do a month everywhere. And I'm going to go up through Colorado, and then make my way up to the left and down the West Coast. And I'm going to make my way to Georgia at some point. So now that I know you got a pool, I guess I'll be stopping by your place.
Well, we had a pool and we got the lake. So within 70 yards of each other. So
yeah, lake probably be better for me. You don't want to put me in your pool. I'm gross. But
yeah, we have fun. We'll go out on the lake. We'll do a podcast from the lake. We'll do.
You teach me how to fish, Doug? I don't know how to fish.
Oh, we can definitely do that.
I'm a Jersey boy, and that's a big thing where I am is fishing, actually, and I just never learned.
Yeah, well, no, it'll be easy. Well, in fact, you come, we'll take it up. We'll make sure we get some, sit down, have a good time, get some catfish, get some other stuff. We'll have a good time.
That sounds good. Oh my God! All right, maybe we'll get Chip involved. We'll do a live podcast from around a bonfire.
Oh yeah, we'll just sit around. We sit around on the dock and do a podcast. That'll work.
Oh, absolutely! I love that idea. So
yeah, and
you said you were in New York, yeah?
I had to go to New York. Right before Christmas. Right before the New Year's. Went up, spent a few days, and it was cold. It wasn't too bad, but again, on New York streets during Christmas, it's crowded. So,
did you go to Rockefeller Center and get claustrophobia from all the people near the tree?
We did. We walked around. Miss Lisa came with me, and we walked. And the great part about it is during that time is also they close off. Here's the thing I do not understand about New Yorkers. New Yorkers are so trained to walk on the sidewalk that when they close the two streets, I think it's 49th and 48th or 49th and 50th. I can't get my two streets mixed up. They close it around the tree, those two streets. And everybody still piles on the sidewalks.
Yeah, you can't break old habits.
Yeah, about 30 or 40 of us, we sit there and we'll walk right down the middle of the street, because it's closed, nobody's there. And, it's just easy walking around. And I look on the sidewalks and the sidewalks are packed. It's like,
That's funny. I never even think about that. I probably did it all the time too.
Yeah, I mean, I'm from the country and I get it, but it's like, folks, you don't have to walk on the sidewalk here.
There's so much room over here. Come join us.
Yeah, come in the middle of the street. Nobody's going to say a word. In fact, the police are in the middle of the street with you.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. That's why they're not going there. They don't trust cops.
Yeah, well, that could be the other issue as we go. It's pretty funny. I was up here a little bit ago, and we were around the area, and I'm moving around the barricade where one of the around the tree in that area right there, and all of a sudden, one of the New York City cops looked up and said, "Wait, I know you. You're amazing. Dear Doug, I see you all the time. Go get them, baby. Give them hell."
That's great. That's great. I love that. That's good. Now you gotta turn in the.
It was pretty good because when he first turned around, he said, "Hey." I said, "Oh God, what are we done now?" And he's like, "Oh my God, yeah, you're great. Go ahead."
All that means is that what you should have been like. What you should have said has been like, "Oh, you listen to the podcast, bud? You should."
Yeah. Hey, got you, baby. My New York's finest. Always love my law enforcement. We're out there going.
Yeah. My real beef though is that you said I'm gonna go get a piece of pizza and you went to Ray's, which is fine. But when I said you should come to Jersey and get a real slice, I got no response, and I gotta be honest, I'm a little ticked off because there's better pizza in New Jersey than there is in New York, and that's a fact.
Well, okay, why is Jersey pizza better than New York? You never hear an article about, hey, we have authentic New Jersey pizza.
Okay, where was the Sopranos film? New Jersey or New York? New Jersey. And that means they got better pizza. Tommy DeVito's there, East Rutherford. No, we can move on from the whole New Jersey, New York thing, but I got to say something. The dynamic from the moment I got to New York, to New Jersey, to when I left, the roller coaster of the Tommy DeVito story. Tommy DeVito's the star of New Jersey. I got there a night or the night after. It was either the night I got there or the night after I got there when he beat the Packers.
Yeah.
And Tommy DeVito was the most famous person on the planet at that point. Then he goes to New Orleans and has a train wreck. Then we find out that his manager's charging $20K instead of $10K, and then he had to apologize and do a free thing at the deli. Then he loses another game. Then he gets benched. Nobody cared. Tommy DeVito doesn't exist anymore. Think about how quickly fame comes and goes. Talk about literal 15 minutes of fame. He had it.
Yeah. Well, they always one of the best scenes. And we may, if James, you can find a clip of this. We may add it to the video podcast for those that are that look. Is the final scene in the movie Patton with George C. Scott, and he's walking off, and this was before he was killed in a car wreck, or a car hit him a little bit later on. But anyway, he's walked across. He's walking the dog. He just talked to Omar Bradley. Anyway, the movie ends there, and it says that when Roman conquerors came back from conquering faraway lands, he said the people would line the streets and praise how great the conqueror was, how great the emperor was, and that there was always a slave or one of the conquered, they would have them in front, but there would always be a slave or something on the chariot itself, whispering in the ear, fame and glory are fleeting.
Hell yeah.
And it's just it's a great scene if you've never seen it. By the way, if anybody out there never watched Patton, quit what you're doing right now. Turn the car off. Go somewhere. Go find it. Watch it tonight. Patton, you got to watch Patton. Patton is a great American flick.
That was like if you've ever taken a high school or college film course, that even if you don't do the whole movie, they show you at least some part of that movie.
Oh yeah, it's an amazing movie, and it's just written. And George C. Scott's performance was just outstanding. As it goes. And if you want more in depth, go read the Carlos D'Este book, Patton. You can also read Carlos D'Este. Also wrote one on Eisenhower. They're the definitive volumes. I mean, they're just great. Long. I mean, they're 600-700 pages, but they're excellent books to read as you go along with that. But yeah, I mean, it's fame and glory. So let me ask you this, because you were up there. Is DeVito really gone? I mean, have they changed to Tyrod Taylor and then changed the numbers on DeVito?
Tyrod Taylor starting that this is what I don't understand. This is a football thing. Why would you switch back when you're already out of the playoffs? What's your goal? You already know what Tyrod Taylor is. Everybody on the planet knows what he is. He's a great stopgap quarterback for a couple of games that if you need him. He's a great backup. He's an excellent backup. Any team would be lucky to have him as a backup. Why would you not? Tommy has 2 good games or 3 good games and 2 bad games, and then because the second game was so bad, you benched him?
Well, it wasn't really that bad. I mean, I looked at it and
it was the Eagles game, right?
Yeah, it was in the game, and it wasn't like they were just getting hammered. I mean,
I don't know. I just don't understand. You literally have to make so many decisions next year. Wouldn't you even at the very least play Tommy DeVito a little more? See what he's got? Maybe they're afraid that if they tried to trade him or move on from him, that those last 4 games would be terrible. I don't know. I don't get it. But we're not in the Giants organization, and they've been losing a lot of games, so maybe they just wanted to win a couple at the end of the season. I don't know. I don't get it.
Yeah, ESPN's Michael Kay in New York
The man himself
is claiming that he was benched because he wasn't taking it seriously.
Really?
Yep.
Okay, you know what? I listened to him a lot when I was home. I didn't hear that, but yeah, that, you know what? Maybe that's it. But he seemed to be. I mean, I don't know about you guys. It seemed like he was taking it seriously. I mean, Daboll's obviously proven he's not like a screw around kind of guy. He's very New York for people.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
But that'd be interesting if it was the thing because again, how much did we hear of Tommy DeVito outside of football in that 5-week span? I mean, nobody was really.
As far as what?
Yeah, but that was all the discussion. He was at this pizza place. His agent is this. He's that. I mean, you never heard, well, he had a really good game plan. He really executed well. It was not about his football prowess. It was about everything else.
Right. It was literally about everything else.
The Cutlets.
I think the thing is, like, he was playing pretty well. It wasn't like he was a superstar, but he was winning them games. Maybe it was maybe they saw it as a distraction to the team. Because once his agent was on the sideline, things got so out of hand.
Yeah, here was Kay. I'm going to continue reading on this on NewJersey.com. It says Kay, who hosts the Michael Kay Show, provided his theory on why Daboll has lost faith in DeVito, whose 6-game stretch as Giants starting quarterback included numerous paid appearances and signing at various New Jersey establishments. Knowing how Daboll rocks, do you think he likes the fact that Tommy DeVito is cashing in on his 15 minutes fame? He's doing signings, going to restaurants. People are going to say that that's his day off anyway, not good enough. If you want to be the great in this league, do you think Tom Brady went and made appearances on his off day? No, he studied film every single day. So when you're at whatever restaurant or you're taking a picture, does Daboll like that? You don't think this gets attention? You're getting a chance to be quarterback in the NFL, and you're going to do all these appearances on your day off rather than being at the complex watching tapes over and over and over again. That's what the great ones do. Steve Young once said, you completely give up your life to this job.
Yeah, I mean, listen, comparing people to Tom Brady is stupid, but yes, I get the sentiment. Yeah, I mean, look, you're talking about somebody who wasn't sure he was going to be in the NFL. He had to take advantage of everything that was in front of him. I don't blame him for going for it. But I do get what he's saying is that's easy reason to bench the guy.
Yep. Interesting enough. Well, speaking of disasters in the NFL, which we could speak of many. In fact, we may have just an episode with Chip in which we just discussed the disastrous year that was in the NFL. We had the college football playoff semifinals, New Year's Day, the Rose Bowl, granddaddy of them all. I mean, if you like football and games, the game was close. I don't understand Alabama's defense in the last 3 minutes, and I don't understand their offense in the overtime. My mind, they should have won. They didn't. Now you have Michigan, who runs the real possibility of having their title stripped of them by the NCAA. And if they win, and then you have Washington, who beat Texas, who for the most part should have never been there to start with. It was actually closer than I thought it would be in that game. But as I sort of jokingly said to James before the show, and I pretty much mean this, and for all you Michigan fans and Texas fans and Washington fans and everybody else, you can get over it. It just freed up some hours for me on Monday night because I have no desire to watch this ball game.
So that's it. You're done. You're out on it.
Season's over. 2023, we thank you.
I mean,
What?
I don't know, man. I think you're going to miss out on a really great game.
I don't think so. Penix, I hope Penix has a good game. I mean, he deserves it. I think he's worked hard. He's come back.
Did you know that Penix was lower on a couple draft boards than Ewers?
I can't believe that.
That makes no sense to me.
Yep, and Ewers is coming back.
Right. I don't know, man. I think Penix is obviously seems very underrated right now. But also, like, what is it? Why not give him the credit? Is it because of the offense he's in? He's putting up the Patrick Mahomes numbers from Texas Tech. Like, I don't get it.
Yeah, but I think it's size, and I think it's mobility. I mean, he's had the injuries.
Right. The injuries are probably a big part of it.
Yeah, I think that's it. Well, look, I mean, we jump into this and go back to, do I believe that, another game was from the weekend, which I think, if you judge, here's the funny part. If you judge by what the bookies in New York and Las Vegas would say, if Georgia was up against either Michigan or Washington, they would be favorites by either 3 or 6 points. Do I think that Georgia beat a full-strength Florida State team? No, I do not. Did they beat a Florida State team that quit on the season? Yes, they did.
Yes.
But here's the interesting part. Take away the first 2.5 quarters. By the middle of the third quarter, our third string and, by the way, sons of coaches were playing for the University of Georgia. And Florida State's third team and first team, even to a point, couldn't stop them.
Yeah.
Look, I am a Georgia fan. I've always admitted too, I'm an Alabama fan as well. I think for the first time, and we'll see how it works next year, because Georgia has a interestingly tough schedule next year, okay? At least on paper. For the first time, I'm starting to see a little bit of what I would think Kirby's long-term legacy is becoming, and it looks very similar to the 07 Alabama team, in 08 and 09, and which it's a reload and not a rebuild.
Right. They're just gearing up to come back. Luckily, the thing is, not for Florida State, but like for Georgia, they're going to be in it almost every year going forward with a 12-man playoff, 12-team playoff.
Yep, I agree.
And they're going to prove to everybody, like, we're just going to keep doing this. Do you know what I'm saying?
Oh, yeah. I think it's going to be – look, I think this year, interestingly enough, I think they picked the wrong SEC school to go. I don't think it was Alabama's, was the better of the schools from the SEC. I think Georgia was the better of the schools.
Right.
And again, we can debate, well, you shouldn't have lost the SEC championship. Yeah, well, neither should Alabama have lost to Texas either. Okay? Or just think about it. If the gravedigger play for Alabama at Auburn, which, by the way, you notice something? Maybe we figured out why Chip's not here. He's only been here one time, and I don't think I was on the show that day, since Alabama beat Auburn on that last-second play.
Yeah, he hasn't mentally recovered from that yet.
I don't think he has. But anyway, if you're listening, Chip, we love you, and we'll see you next week. But if that play had not happened, Georgia would have been in the 4.
Yeah, absolutely.
They couldn't have sent a 2-loss Alabama. And frankly, though, you flip it around, if Washington had not been able to beat Washington State there on that last set, the same could have been said, probably at least FSU would have got in.
Right. So FSU definitely would. They would have. Alabama, they found a way to put Alabama in so they didn't have to put FSU in. That is the answer. Like, Georgia handed Alabama the walk-in so that how do I put this right? Georgia losing gave the college football committee the opportunity not to put Georgia, obviously, but also not to put Florida State in. Because that's all they want to do is not put Florida State in. That's the only way I can look at it.
To this day, if you watch the pregame shows, you listen to some of the college sports talk, which, by the way, could there, and I say this with love. I mean, I like my own teams and everything else, but has there ever been a bigger crybaby than Danny Cannell?
Oh, my God, I know.
I used to listen to Dusty and Danny in the morning on the ESPN Sirius 84. I almost listened to them every morning. Disagreed with them a lot, but, hey, it was pretty good, Dusty, Danny. But I refuse to listen to it. Cannell
it's not good. I've never really been a big fan of Danny Cannell because, I don't know,
But how do you, I mean, you just whine and whine and whine. I mean, no cheese, just whine. And it's just, I mean, they didn't have enough players. They didn't have this. They didn't have that. Danny, then shut up. It doesn't matter. You're fighting about something that doesn't matter. No Georgia team or very few social media posters for Georgia, in my opinion, were posting the FSU is terrible and we won because they were a great team and we beat a great team. No. We went out with a lineup in which we had opt-outs, we had injuries, and if you looked at the number, we had 4 or 5 starters who were out, opt-outs, and we had the same kind of transfer portal. They had some on there. Somebody tell me why the culture at FSU said the 4 or 5 could quit. Now I'm not going to get into the argument about they got pro contracts to think about. Okay, but don't you think it just says something to me that FSU, who was so upset about not getting in, and I get it, they should be upset, but the way you protest that is by not playing the University of Georgia. Could you imagine if they had come back and they played and they beat the University of Georgia?
Yeah, I guess their idea was like, we don't want the NCAA to have a game worth watching.
Well, they succeeded in that.
Absolutely. I didn't watch it. I don't think anybody did.
I did because but the good part about it was, and I sort of made the joke before the game. I said, I hope Georgia puts it away by halftime. And I'll be darned if they didn't.
Yeah, they did that real quick, bud.
Well, what I also loved was, the two things, and I was meant to say this a minute ago, and by the way, when I got sidetracked on the Danny Cannell crying show, no college sports, like the game day crew, anybody else, they'll all discuss Florida State, but none of them pick up Georgia. None of them want to touch the fact that Georgia wasn't there. They casually go over the top. Then they'll say, well, they lost the championship game. But they don't want to argue or debate the merits of the Georgia team. And what got me is almost everybody on the game day on last Saturday, even McAfee, all of them said, FSU will cover. FSU didn't cover. Georgia had back-to-back worse beat downs in a bowl game than any in history.
Right.
And yet they all said, they're going to cover. They're going to cover.
That championship game last year was a waste. The one before was a little closer, wasn't it?
No, yeah, it was 63-7, and this was 63-0. I think it was. Yeah.
Listen, Doug.
Yeah.
The issue with Georgia is that I think they felt they could leave Georgia out because next year they definitely were going to get in. But leaving Florida State out, Florida State can't not that they're never going to go back. That's not realistic. But this was their year. They earned it. They took it away, and Florida State said, all right, let Georgia kill us. Who cares? No one's going to play anyway. There's no one's going to watch. Screw the NCAA. And you almost like the pettiness of it, but you also understand, you should have at least gone out there. But, with the contracts and guys trying to play football, I get it. Trying to go to the NFL, I get it. Can I bring something up, though?
That's the way it is, but we'll see. But speaking of which, though, if you've watched any of the early signing, you watched the transfer portal, Travis Etienne, running back out of Florida, going to Georgia. Jackson, I think it is, Michael Jackson out of USC, wide receiver, starter, going to Georgia. Georgia already had the number one recruiting class in the nation in 24 after losing, by the way, the top quarterback, the number one player in the draft to Nebraska, where his dad went to school, and still picked up the number one defensive player cornerback who was committed to, guess where? Florida State, KJ Bolden, and who went to Georgia. And again, I'm anxious to see if you just look at the depth chart. And I saw somebody showed the depth chart the other day. They broke it out. Very few of Georgia's players were seniors next year. Georgia's bulk of its team is freshmen, sophomore, and juniors.
Really?
And they got seven top 5-stars, 7 5-stars, and there's only 50-something 5-stars total.
Wow.
Yeah, it's going to be – look, I'm excited. I don't want to get, too excited because I think they all – you got to go out and play a game. But under Kirby's system, here's my statement that I'll go back and finish, and we'll finish up with the FSU Georgia stuff on this, is that it just showed to me the difference in culture of the Georgia team and the Florida State team.
Well, yes, I hear you, but also, again, we are talking about a team that already was down its quarterback. Yeah, you're right. No, they should have played. But if you are telling me that 25 guys were missing, right? Something like that.
Yeah. Georgia.
Yeah, that's a lot of dudes. Not 25
Georgia
guys.
had 20-something guys missing.
Yeah, that's too many.
But I mean, that's what I'm saying is, I get it that some of your best defensive folks didn't play. I get it. But we had Brock Bowers out. Mims was out, offensive lineman, stud. And others. So like I said, my bottom line is this. I think it shows a lot. We'll see where Kirby – I did tweet this out, and at Rep Doug Collins is my Twitter handle. I did tweet this out on the night of it. It said that basically anybody that thinks that Georgia should not open as the number one team in the country next year is crazy.
Who do you think they'll have if it's not Georgia?
Oh, it'll go back to the obvious. Ohio State, Michigan – USC, Notre Dame, Oklahoma.
Michigan would be fine if it's not Georgia. Ohio State, I don't see. That would be nuts.
I'm surprised Ryan Day still. Have you seen some of the stats? Speaking of this, we're just randomly going here. Have you seen some of the stats?
He just keeps getting spanked in the biggest games.
Yeah, Ryan Day has not beat but one top 15 school in the last 3 years.
And what was that, Notre Dame?
Or Penn State.
By about 3 points?
Yeah. Let's see. It was just some brutal kind of, stats. I'm surprised. Like I said, I'm surprised he's, my friend, Lou Holtz is, I've gotten to know Lou a little bit over time and he is hilarious, in some of because he has been on Ryan Day's for a while. And after this was just amazing. But again, also let me talk about owning something. The SEC, except for Alabama and Auburn, by the way, the two Alabama schools own the Big Ten.
Oh yeah, that I know.
It was and like I said, I wish I had Skip on here to ask him. Like, did Auburn forget they were playing last week? That was bad.
Listen, Auburn's been in trouble since they lost Cam Newton. So
yeah.
Was the Iron Bowl before or after Cam Newton, the kick six?
All right. A couple of things before we get out of this first new edition of the year, though. Let's think about this. Let's do some picks. Number one, does Falcons head coach Arthur Smith keep his job or not?
He's going to keep his job.
Oh.
And they're going to trade for Justin Fields.
Thank goodness for my affiliation with the Las Vegas Raiders.
You sure? Thank goodness, because they're still worried they might not keep Antonio Pierce, which makes no sense to me.
Yeah, I don't understand that at all. But
they should hire him now. Make it clear to the team, like, this is your guy.
They're playing well under him. But I think Arthur – I'm going to reverse. I think Arthur Smith gets fired. I don't see them going after Justin Fields. I don't think Chicago I just have a feeling Chicago's not going to let Justin go. I think they're going to use that number one to draft Marvin Harrison. And they're going to double down.
So you think they give up on a generational talent in Caleb Williams?
Generational flop.
Generational talent
Flop.
in Caleb Williams.
Flop.
You could say it all you want. I'm telling you right now, you're wrong.
Next, I'll be hearing it next summer when you come through. We'll talk about it.
Yes, exactly. I'll be waving the flag. All right, so they take Marvin Harrison Jr., then yes. That would be yes. Then they keep Justin Fields. I think the problem is Arthur Smith has this, how do I put it? Extreme arrogance of just because you say I have to put somebody in doesn't mean I should. But it doesn't make any sense. You're talking about not playing your two possibly most talented players. It doesn't make sense.
You don't know it. Hey, speaking of that, do you know Annie? Have you seen any of the posts from a lady named Annie Agar?
No.
You've never seen her Instagram post where she does the NFL? She goes through the week in review. And
No. Yes, I've seen her before.
And
yes,
she plays all the parts. She plays every team. My God, it is some of the best stuff in the world. And as she looks at this and talks about, she did the best imitation of Arthur Smith trying to explain why he doesn't play people and everything. It was hilarious. It was.
We'll find that clip. Maybe we can play it on here. I don't know if we're allowed to, but
yeah, I don't know if she's on Twitter or something. Let's see if this is it right here. Hang on.
I hope you had a great New Year's Eve. Thanks to Marquez Valdez-Scantling, we did not have to go to New York to see the ball drop this year. Speaking of New Year's Eve, everyone is complaining about the bowl games. Everyone is complaining about players opting out, which I'm not sure why that is such a big deal when the entire Eagles defense opted out. Okay, let's start with Browns-Jets. Joe Flacco now has as many passing touchdowns this month as Kenny Pickett has in his career. Can we stop that now? Absolutely not. I know this has been a rough year for us. Will you just get Robert in here, please? Okay, Coach, you punted on 4th and 2 down 20. I bet you're pretty mad right now. You know, I had a dream last night. I dreamt I was a dove flying over the sea, and then I dove into the ocean and swam with the dolphins. I was two animals joined as one, which means good things are coming. You are worse than Adam Gase. Okay, moving on. Dolphins-Ravens. The Dolphins gave up 56 points, which is the second most the Ravens have scored in franchise history. The most they scored was 59 against the Dolphins. We will be fine. Miami, I have seen Zach LaVine play better defense. Okay, moving on. Let's do the NFC South. The Panthers had -2 net passing yards at the half. To make matters worse, your owner, David Tepper, threw a drink into the crowd of Jags fans. Ironically, that was the best throw you've had all season. He threw a Tepper tantrum. He really needs to watch his Teppermint. Can I go? When were you ever here? Okay, let's do Falcons-Bears. Thanks to the Panthers' loss, the Bears now have the #1 overall pick. But don't get too. We are sticking with Justin. He is the best quarterback we have ever seen. The bar could not be lower. Okay, look, we're going to draft Marvin Harrison Jr. and build around Justin. Luke Getsy is going to turn Maserati Marv into a Chrysler Sebring. Okay, Falcons, just get Arthur Smith in here, please. Arthur, you have once again wasted first-round talent. Cordell Patterson is tweeting about you. I didn't see that on Facebook. Okay, Art, I'm going to fire you. Unless you can answer this one question. Okay. What is the best way to use Bijan Robinson? Oh, dear. Bijan Robinson, to me, is just like a story I know called The Puppy That Lost Its Way. Puppy is like Bijan in that they were both lost in the woods. Except the puppy, my friends, was a dog. And the team was a revolution. Go Falcons! Go Falcons! Arthur, what you just said was one of the most
That's spot on, though. Like, he doesn't have a real answer for anything.
I mean, you gotta love it.
I didn't know Cordero Patterson tweeted about him, though. I am curious.
But I love that Cordero Patterson tweeted about him, and Arthur Smith. I hadn't seen that on Facebook.
That's so funny.
Hey, so folks, I mean, unpaid, unsolicited, Annie Agar. If you've not watched her on Instagram, you got to go follow her. It's Annie Agar 5, ANNIE Agar ANNIE AGAR 5. Hilarious, just hilarious. There we go. But
can I bring something up real quick because it was mentioned in that clip?
Yeah,
David Tepper.
Okay.
The man who threw a drink on a fan because he's a scumbag.
And got a $300,000 fine for it.
Yeah, they should. The fine. What is $300,000 to that man? That's like us going to the store and paying $5 for a couple packs of gum.
Yeah.
Like, he has unlimited money. Make him go away from the team. Maybe they'll win a game.
Yeah.
But the real thing here is they were talking about David Tepper. He is really petty, and I kind of like. Did you hear about this story about David Tepper?
No, I didn't.
When he was at a hedge fund and the guy didn't promote him, so then he started his own hedge fund, bought that guy's the CEO's house, knocked it down, and built a bigger one over it.
Oh, really?
Yeah. David Tepper is petty, and I like that about him, but also he should be nowhere near a football team, and somebody's got to get rid of him.
Yeah, well,
you can't get rid of him, but like he's going to destroy the Carolina Panthers. Will never be a winner under him. I maybe I'm crazy, I don't know, but I don't see it ever happen.
Well, but here's the deal: in the NFC South, nobody has to be a winner.
That's actually true. Yeah, that's actually fact. That's factual.
So we get it. All right, some more real quick. List some more picks and as we get going. Playoffs are coming up. AFC South, again, another dumpster fire. Indianapolis, Jacksonville, and Houston. Who makes playoffs?
I'm rooting for Indianapolis. I want to see Gardner Minshew in the playoffs.
I'm gonna have to be a Jacksonville fan on that one. Although I frankly got nothing against C.J. Stroud. He's one of the few kind of hype quarterbacks that actually have done good. He just sort of stayed under the radar. Best thing to see. Speaking of which, back to your Caleb Williams analogy. My problem with Caleb Williams, besides I don't think he's that great of a quarterback, and as far as attitude, was if he was not as hyped as he was, I think he would probably be a better quarterback and on a team in which the expectations were realistic. But when his expectations were raised, he failed, unfortunately, and he's a young guy. I hope he comes out of this, but he just doesn't seem to live to the expectations. And I think that's going to be effective notice, James, and I've said this before, and I think we'll Chip on the show as well. The quarterbacks many times who make it the best in the NFL coming out of college are the quarterbacks that were not the most hyped coming out of college.
Right. Well, that's because they're also on a good team, though.
Well, but also they get to the pros and they understand, hey, I got to work, I got to do this. I'm not the quote best on the field, and nobody cares about who I am.
No, I understand that. I'm with you 100%. I guess the way I look at it is like the Caleb Williams game everyone's going to remember this year, unfortunately, is the Notre Dame game. He had a bad game. He was awful. No question. But if you look at all the games that he kept them in because of how atrocious that defense was, those are the games I'm going to remember because they were more than the bad game.
Yeah.
But I'm with you. I just think like if Pat Mahomes goes to the Bears, he's probably one in a million that, yes, helps the Bears. But you got to think about all the quarterbacks that you're in a system with a terrible coach or a terrible offensive coordinator or no offensive line, all this stuff. Like, I'm not giving Zach Wilson a pass for this season. He was dog water. But, in a better situation, it's not like he can't throw a football.
Yeah,
I'm just saying, like, I think we have to really think about the surroundings that these players go to. The Browns for years. I mean, Baker Mayfield, to me, should be held up on a pedestal.
Oh, yeah, for
the way
bringing
he
them out.
handled the Brown situation.
Yep.
And he's done great in Tampa. Anyway, all right, let's. You got any more for me?
A couple more quick ones. Does Buffalo make the playoffs or go home?
Buffalo makes the playoffs. They whoop on Miami. I think Miami's a pretender right now.
All right. Who's the bigger pretender, Miami, Philadelphia, or Dallas?
Philadelphia.
I can go along with that one. Chiefs, will they get hot in the postseason and go to the Super Bowl?
Of course they will, and it's going to piss me off so much.
All right. Last question.
Go ahead.
Who will finish last, Minnesota or Chicago?
In our division? You know what? Let's hope Minnesota finishes last so that they don't get the guy that they want. If they choose a quarterback, they don't get to have Marvin Harrison also.
Well, you got to play Detroit, so that may be what.
Oh, then definitely we're going to be last. Detroit's going to kill us again.
And Chicago plays Green Bay.
Yeah, we're all out of hope right now. I'll tell you what, though, Kirk Cousins has got him the biggest contract ever if the Vikings want to go back to the playoffs.
I agree. He'll be ready to go. Folks, that is enough from us for the Friday's Finest. We've discussed pretty much everything. We've chased every rabbit. We've tasted every morsel. It is all good. We're glad to have you with us. James, good to have you back in the great state of Texas, our New Jersey and by way of Texas, full of Cutlets, full of life, full of mom and dad and everybody else. And Hercules, I know he's listening somewhere on the podcast as we go, trying to still get outside and come in and see you.
Yeah,
so,
Hercules subscribed to the show.
There we go. Hercules is a stud. So, we got to get that. Cree decided to abandon us today. I have no idea where Cree is. I think she went and found her mother. So, everything is good. Next week, Chip should be back with us if he's not still moaning the loss of the Alabama-Auburn game from almost a month ago. But we'll let it out on that one. We'll talk about it next week on the Friday's Finest. Look for you then.